Hello, and welcome to Essential Pilates Mat Level 2 Detailed Instruction. So in this workout, we are going to be progressing beyond what we did in the Level 1 detailed workout as well as the flow workout. The exercises that you previously learned will be repeated, but the detailed instruction will not be displayed on this video. What we will do, though, is on all of the new variations and new exercises, we will be breaking those down in detail. So again, the detailed videos are for you to learn the exercises, spend extra time on them. Once you feel proficient with that, then you want to move on to the flow-based workout. Okay, so let's get started. Once again, we are going to begin by laying down on our backs. If you use a head prop, you do want to go ahead and make sure you have that in place. So just like with all of our previous workouts, we are going to begin with just some breathing. So at your own pace, I want you to inhale in through the nose, exhale out through the mouth, and slowly start to set those exhales up through pursed lip, forced expiration. So you're breathing in deeply, allowing for the rib cage to spread open like an accordion. And then when you exhale, pursing the lips, and blowing the air out. Continue with that for 2 more breaths. You want to take this opportunity to use that exhale to facilitate that transverse abdominis engagement, all of the details that were reviewed in our 5 basic principle video. And let's just start to slowly rock the pelvis back and forth, just exploring what today's body feels like. Keep in mind that your neutral pelvic position may vary from day to day. So if you're sitting a lot, you may notice that you have to make some modifications to this. So once again, we are looking for a curve in the low back. So you have a little space between your low back vertebrae and the floor, but maintaining rib cage contact. So the backs of the ribs up here are still touching the floor. Let's take a breath in and reach the arms up to the ceiling. As you exhale, gently reach the arms back and overhead, making sure that the rib cage does not leave the mat here. So don't let the weight of your arms tempt your rib cage to move. Breathe in to bring the arms gently back up. Continue flowing. Allow the exhale to occur naturally, and the arms are going to return to the start position. Breathe in. Exhaling overhead. So it is your oblique muscles, part of the abdominal musculature, that is keeping your rib cage from separating from the pelvis, and then bringing the arms back up and back down. Let's just do that one more time. Breathing in, exhaling, taking your time to go overhead. Some of you may find this more comfortable with your palms facing each other versus palms facing forward, and that's fine. And let's allow the arms just to relax to the floor. Now we are going to take our head nod, breathing in, allowing for the chin to ever so slightly lower. Exhale to return. Remember, we're just taking the weight of our head, preparing the neck for flexion off the mat. So instead of leaving the weight of the head behind, we're preparing the head by placing it on top. Now we're going to move into our ab prep, which was reviewed in our flow 1. Inhale to head nod. As you exhale, begin the exhale, lift the head, flex the thoracic spine without changing the shape of the low back. Take a deep breath in. Exhale as you return back down to the mat. And once again, the head precedes the motion with an inhale. Start your exhale. As you lift up, think of your sternum sinking to the floor. Think of the xiphoid process, the area where your ribs meet, sinking as well. And then on your next exhale, we're coming back down. We're going to do that 2 more times. Breathing in. I know this feels like a very basic exercise, but it is so foundational to so much of the work. We do so much Pilates mat from laying on the back going into flexion of the spine. Once more with an inhale. And then exhale, coming up. We need this to be nice and clean for everything that comes past this. And exhale back down. From here, we're going to go into our breaststroke preps. Now, in our previous video, we only did breaststroke prep number 1. Today, I'm going to be adding 2 and 3. So 1 will just simply be a review. Remember, you can rest your head on the mat, or your head can hover in line with your spine. Legs can be together or slightly separated, however, they do remain parallel. Hands are lined up in the vicinity of your shoulders. Let's take a breath in, and on this first exhale, I just want you to recruit the abdominals in a way that feels as if you're supporting the low back. Checking in with the pubic bone, we want to make sure the pubic bone remains on the mat. Take your inhale to prepare. Then as you exhale, we go into our extension. So we're doing the exact reverse of the ab prep. The neck extended, the thoracic extended. Right here, the ribs are still on the mat. Pubic bone is still on the mat. Lengthen your spine away from the foot as you go back down. Breathe in to prepare. Exhale, lengthen the neck. Shine the sternum up. Nice breath in here. Exhale to lower down. If you start to feel discomfort in the low back, check in. Make sure that the abdominals are engaging. So you're lifting your belly button gently towards the spine as you're coming up to prevent the low back from sinking. And then we're going to lower back down. Now we're going to move into breaststroke prep number 2. For this, the arms are going to come down beside you. Feel free to just let them relax. So even your palms can face up, your shoulders can kind of fold towards the mat. For this, the head again can start on your mat or in that same hover position. So for this one, as you inhale, what we're going to do is we're going to set the shoulder blades. So we're going to ask the palm to turn and face the leg. And as I did that, my shoulder blades did a little bit of a retraction back towards my spine. Then on the exhale, I'm only going to hover. So I'm not lifting as high as I did on that first one. I look like a long flying Superman here. Take your next exhale and let everything return. Take your inhale, set the shoulder. Take your exhale to lengthen. I'm thinking at the crown of my head, pulling away from the foot. And then I'm going to exhale back down. Once again, inhale, set the shoulder blade. Exhale, find your long hover. Take a breath in. And then exhale to lower down. Okay, now breaststroke prep number 3. I'm going to remove the head pad because I'm going to place my hands underneath me and I'm going to rest my forehead on my hands. So this one is also only going to lift as high as the one we just did. So this will be a hover. So pardon me, I am going to do this one with you, and I know my microphone may do just a little bit of feedback, but we're going to start with the head relaxing on the hands. Now real quickly, before I put you there, be aware that you can slide your hands further apart. I want your shoulder blades to feel comfortable. If putting hand on hand causes your shoulders to slide up closer to the ears, slide them a little bit further apart. So from there, you're going to breathe in. This time when you exhale, hover, and the hands were glued to the forehead. I'm telling my elbows to be attracted to the ceiling. Exhale down. Breathe in to prepare. Exhale, find that hover. Now this one is a level 3 prep because you are heavier when you pick yourself up. Lower back down when your arms are up with the head as well. Breathe in to prepare and exhale to hover. One more inhale. Exhale to lower. One more time. Prepare with an inhale. Begin your exhale, draw the abdominals up, find that hover. You might be tempted on this one to lift the legs. If the legs are lifting up, you're recruiting just a little too much glute and not enough abdominals. And then lower back down. Now, let's push back to our shell stretch. And then from here, we're going to round the spine. Remember, your legs can be apart, or you can come up to all fours. And all we're doing is giving the low back the opportunity to go into a little bit of flexion. And then return. Okay, so we are going into the 100. For this one, we are going to add progressions from what we did in our flow and in our detailed level 1. You are welcome to continue using the modification that you need. But for this one, I am going to be bringing the legs off of the mat. So remember, anytime we put both legs in the air at the essential level, we will be finding that imprint. So you're going to breathe in. Exhale, use the abdominals to bring the pelvis towards the rib cage. Take an inhale to prepare here. Exhale, bring one leg tabletop. On your next exhale, bring the other leg tabletop. Now I'm going to go through a couple of versions and I want you to join me for this. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, head nods, thoracic spine flexes up. Here's our pumping, just like before. We breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. In, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. In, out. In, one more set for me, and out. Now I want you to inhale, pause. Exhale, lower the upper body. Now what I want to give you the option to add now is as we come up into that flexion, the legs can also extend. Now they can either go straight up or you can take them out as low as you are able to keep your low back from arching off the floor. Okay? And then if you do that and you fatigue, you can bring the legs back to this tabletop position, or you can even put them back down on the floor. Now, just like with the level 1 essential, you can keep the upper body out of flexion for all of those leg variations. Okay, so we're going to do another 50 here. Inhale to prepare. As you exhale, the head will nod. As you flex up, I want you to change the leg position. And here we go. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. And in, remember the pump is coming from the shoulder, and out. And in, I'm trying to maintain the flexion I'm in. Exhale, and inhale, and exhale. You've got one more set. In, and out. Now breathe in, bend the knees, pause the pump, lower just the upper body. Take one leg to the floor, use the other leg to assist you up, and we're going right into our half roll back, which we learned in our level 1. So this will be a review. Fold the spine forward. Inhale here to prepare. Exhale, pubic bone curls towards the belly button, glutes become engaged. I'm rolling back onto my sacrum. I'm going to use my inhale to fold myself back forward. And repeat. Remember, we're trying to keep the shape of our spine exactly the same back here and forward. 3 more. So this exercise is the introduction of taking your pelvis away from your thigh, which is something that we will progress further and further with as we go into our intermediate and our advanced work as well. Here's one more. And now what we're going to do is we're going to roll all the way down. Take your time. Remember, if you need support, you can hold the legs to come all the way down. Now we are going into the roll up. So we are going to progress our roll up as well, from starting on the floor to coming all the way up to a seated position flexed over the legs. I'm going to demonstrate this with the legs straight as well as with the legs bent. Now, I will say that this is a notoriously difficult exercise to execute without creating compensations. Please, please, please modify back to just the half roll up if you feel vulnerable as you're doing this exercise. So I would like for you to observe this first one because I want to make a point here. I'm going to breathe in just like like we did before. I'm going to exhale, and I'm not going to come all the way up this first time, because what I want to show you is that right here where we were going before, the only way I can go the rest of the way up is if I imprint. I have to put my low back in flexion to roll through it, okay? And then coming back out, I will do the same thing. Now, I'm going to take this one up, I hope. Breathing in, exhaling. So there's that imprint moment. And then I'm coming over my thighs. My hamstrings are a little restricted, so I'm going to bend my knees right there. You could keep your legs straight. Now, as I roll down, I'm going to send energy out through my heels. This is going to look a lot like your half rollback that we just did. Now, right here again, I'm going through my imprint, and then I returned back to my neutral. Breathing in. Exhale. About the time I can see my feet, I'm going to tell my pubic bone, curl towards me. Find that imprint position so that I can continue forward. Inhale as I roll away from my legs. Exhale all the way down. Now, for some people, this exercise is easier with the knees bent, but don't bend them in too close to you or you will get stuck on the hip joint. Personally, I do not find it easier with the knees bent, so I may struggle more myself here. So we breathe in as the arms lead. As we exhale, right about there is where we roll through that imprint over the legs and then all the way back. Curl, curl, curl. One more time. Breathing in. Good. And then we're going to inhale, and we're going to roll this all the way back and down. Now this next time up, I'm going to go ahead and go back to straight legs myself. We're going to remain at the top. Inhale, head nod, flex through. And now I'm going to inhale all the way back up to seated. And we're going to quickly review spine twist. So remember, I'm seated. I can have my legs out a little wider, or cross-legged or sitting on a prop. Make sure you're back and you're right on top of the sit bones. Arms come either out to the side or slightly in front of you. Breathing in. Pick a direction. Maximum rotation. Little release. Inhale back to center. So you're going as far as you can. You release a little and then you wring out a little more. Wring out a little more. So the direction that you're going in, that rib cage is pulling, the other rib is pushing. So you have this combination of pushing and pulling that are going to create the rotation. Let's do one more going in each direction. And then final one. Spiral up out of the sit bones, not down and into them, and then back to the center, arms coming down. Okay, rolling like a ball. We're going to go into prep number 2, and then we're going to give the full one a version. So, prep 1, as you will recall, we kept our legs down, we rolled back, came up, back to seated. So here we go. For prep number 2, I want you to find that same position, that little scooped under position. But now what we're going to do is we're going to pick up one leg, pick up the other leg. My hands are going to come to the side, and I'm going to gently press into the sides of my lower leg. I'm not hanging on under, and the only reason I'm not is that when we get into the full exercise, you may find it tempting to use your legs to bring you back up. So arms are here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my legs, please stay, and I'm going to inhale, and I'm going to deepen my curve of the low back. I'm rolling away from my legs, and then I'm going to exhale, back up, and notice I'm staying in my curve now. Inhale, I am desperately asking my pubic bone to curl up, curl up, curl up, and I'm exhaling to bring my ribs back. I know you are going to be tempted to counter this half roll by reaching the legs away. And it's okay if initially that is what your body is strategizing with, but you want as best you can to start to work towards keeping this small enough that you don't need your legs to do that counterbalance. Now I'm going to be honest with you, for most people this prep is actually more challenging than the full exercise. Let's do one more of these preps. Inhale, and some of you by now may have already done the full exercise by actually rolling too far back. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to keep this shape. I'm going to inhale and roll back and exhale to roll back up. You can watch this first one. So I did the same initiation and I'm back up. So I inhale, exhale. Ideally, I'm in the same shape all the way back and all the way up. All of those preps were crucial because this moment right there is important. It's not a matter of just leaning back and rolling back up. So we're not doing our kindergarten version of a backwards somersault here. We're trying to keep the curve in the spine identical without the legs kicking away or crashing on me. One more. Now, we're going to go right into our single leg stretch, obliques, double leg stretch, and scissors. I'm going to go into the first two together, then we'll lower down. So I want you to control yourself down, send one leg out, one leg in, and I'm ready to go. So remember, I could stop the knee at 90. Right on top of the hip, a little heavier with my leg that far away. I won't be able to reach my ankle when I do that, but if I bring my knee in closer, I can slide to that ankle. Here we go. 4, 3, quick inhale between legs, 2, and 1. Now for obliques today, keep the legs up into tabletop, hands behind the head. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same leg pattern. I sent one leg out, one leg's in, but now I'm going to add that rotation. I'm not trying to get my elbow to touch my knee. Remember, this armpit stays in line with this hip. I'm thinking shoulder, kind of look at the knee. Don't go to it because I don't want to rock off of my sacrum. Come through the center. Other side, armpit in line with hip. Now I could modify this if this is feeling a little bit unstable without sending the legs into that single leg stretch. I could have kept them just up in tabletop. So pick a version and let's do 4 more sets total. 4. I'm going to bring you out of flexion after this. 3, 2, and 1. Both legs come in, and let's lower down. You can give those legs a quick hug into you. Now we are going to go into, I'm going to pull this back, our double leg stretch right into scissors. Okay, so today I'm not going to bring you down between the two. So here we are. Tabletop the legs, hands beside the knees. Breath in. Take your exhale to flex up. Inhale to prepare. Hat off the head. Recall, exhale, they reach. Inhale, circle around. Remember, we don't want to drop the height of our flexion with the weight of the arms. If you cannot stay up as high as you are right now, don't send the arms as far behind you. If the low back cannot remain an imprint, don't send the legs as far. Here's 3, and circle. 2, and 1. Now, both legs up. Again, I like hands behind the head. You could choose arms long beside you. One leg forward, one leg away. Here's 1, 2, 1, 2. Exhale, exhale. Little quick sniff between. Last 2 sets. Last 1. Now both legs up, breathe in. Exhale, bring everything back down. Whew. Okay, I'm gonna feel that one later. So moving on, shoulder bridge. which we did learn one modification in level 1, we're going to add on. So let's set the legs up again. If you'll recall, legs together, V, heels. I've removed my head prop, so we want to take that out of the way because the hips are going to be lifting up. Let's quickly review what you've learned. Breath in. As you exhale, engage the glutes. The hips are simply hinging up. I'm on my upper shoulder blades. My arms are pressing. My next exhale is a crease. I'm creasing at the hip joint. I want to feel my sacrum touch. About the same time the backs of my ribs touch. My low back is not articulating through. Inhale again, one more of these. Exhale. Breathe in. And exhale down. Now what we're going to add at this level is a little float of each leg while you're in that bridge position. Now I'm going to break that down. So breathe in here. Take your exhale, lift back up. Now, I'm going to bring my front leg up. So whichever leg you want to choose to lift is fine with me. But here's what I want you to do. The leg that's not going to lift, I want you to start to push that foot into the floor. All you're doing is preparing your body for a weight transfer. The foot that's going to lift, just lift the heel. So again, you've done further redistribution of body weight. Now keep pushing into the foot that's going to stay on the floor until it becomes possible to float that other leg. Notice how low it is. I'm not coming all the way up here. I've just picked it up enough to take the weight off of it. Now go back down, toe, ball, heel. Transfer into that foot. Lift the heel of the other foot. Both of my arms are pushing into the floor. Float. Bring that leg back down, push into that foot, peel. The foot that lifts, that arm is really helping to counter by pushing back into the floor. Toe, ball, heel, transfer. Now, we're trying to keep our hips up the whole time. You've got all these spinal stabilizers that are turning on whether you realize it or not, because they are resisting the want to rotate with you as you transfer from leg to leg. Let's go one more each way. Exhale it up. Inhale back down. Exhale it up. Once you've done a couple, you're going to find they get way less wobbly. Take your next exhale and set your hips down. So I left you up there the whole time. You could do a couple, put the hips down, go back up. But again, don't let the first two be your gauge for where you think that's going to go, because they do get better. Okay, new exercise, roll over prep. So, imprint for me, bring one leg up, other leg up. Now, I'm going to crisscross my ankles. And if you were to look at your legs here, your ankle to knee to pubic bone is kind of making a diamond shape. Okay, now there's no head pad here because the hips are eventually going to pick up off of the mat. But this is another one where honestly I think this prep is more challenging than the full exercise, so don't be discouraged if you find this one to be difficult. First of all, I want your arms to push into the mat. This is key because they are going to want to roll off of here to do anything to assist you. Now initially on my exhale, I'm thinking of curling my pubic bone towards my belly button. I'm pushing into my arms. I'm not trying to pick my bum off the floor. So I'm going to move my arms so you can see. Don't make that your intention. Not yet. Because if you do, you will create all kinds of strategies around doing the work. So I'm curling, I'm pushing into my arms. Now I'm going to use a big exhale and see, can I pick up any of my lower body weight? And then I'm going to come back down. Now I want you to notice here that I'm bringing my legs rather forward. If I try to pick up my pelvis with my legs right on top of my hips, this is about as heavy as I'm going to get. It's extremely difficult to do, but I'm not crashing on myself. I'm keeping space between my thigh and me, but I have brought my legs quite a bit forward to lessen the weight. Now I'm going to switch my crisscross. And And again. I would recommend that you switch that crisscross every time, just so that you keep a balance. Let's do one more. I think that will be plenty. And then come down. Okay, we're going to bring both legs down. You can use one of those legs to assist you in coming up. And let's go ahead and take a quick little fold forward here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add another exercise. This is called one leg kick. It's done on the stomach. And once again, you will be laying on the backs of your hands, just like you were doing for that breaststroke prep number 3 that we did earlier. Now, you will be here, but obviously you're not going to be there just yet because I want you to see the exercise. Just like everything we do laying on our stomach, I'm drawing my abdominals up so that my low back's not sinking and curving in towards the floor, and my pubic bone is down. The leg choreography is this. I'm going to bend one of my knees with my foot pointed, and I'm going to do a pulse for 1. I'm going to release a little, then I'm going to flex my foot and do the second pulse, and then I'm going to lower down. Then I'm going to do the other leg. I do a pulse, pulse, and a release. The key here is that I want you to make this about the hamstring. So right about there with the foot, imagine somebody was trying to push your foot back down to the floor. You have resistance. Make the belly of the hamstring work to pull the foot towards you and release and go again. This is not about touching your bum with your foot, because this is what you'll see is that there's nothing behind a movement that looks like that where I'm just bouncing the leg around. So put some energy into it. Okay, so I'm going to have you go ahead and relax your head down. Once again, I'm going to slightly leave mine lifted, and I'm going to turn my head to the side just so my microphone does not become distorted. Take a breath in, pick a leg, bring it up. You're going to point, then flex, and lengthen away. Other leg. Point, then flex, then lengthen away. Keep going. Notice if the foot, or the leg rather, of the knee that you're bending, if that hip is trying to pop up off the floor, it can be because you have a tight quadricep. So keep telling the pubic bone to stay down and only bend the knee as far as you can keep your hip from twisting away from the floor. Keep drawing the abdominals in. That's key, because at the intermediate level, you are not laying down like this. You're lifted up. So we want to get the abdominals ready for that work. Do one more. Point, then flex, and then release. Now, I'm going to have you go ahead and push all the way back. Take that shell stretch again for me. And then we're going to roll back up. Okay, so quick review of saw. We're just going to do about 4 repetitions of this before we move on to another new one. So we're seated, legs about the width of your mat, knees can be bent, arms out to the side. Let's take a breath in, and you will take your rotation. As you exhale, round the spine over. Keep this opposite hip on the mat. Reach to the pinky or the big toe. Inhale, rebuild. Exhale, twist center. Other side. Take your exhale to round down. Breathe in. Rotate back to the front one more time each way. So again, this is one that was previously broken down. So we're just reviewing a little bit of the choreography. Coming back up. And one more time. And coming back up. Now, another new exercise. This one is called oblique rollback. I'm going to continue to face you for this one so that you can see. My legs are together. My arms are out in front of me. That half rollback you've been doing, you're going to do that again. So just real quickly, where I'm at, I'm right here. What I'm then going to add is a rotation, and my arm's going to scoop out, and then I'm going to come back up. Okay, but I'm going to do that facing you because there's an element of this I want you to see. So I initiate with the flexion of my low back. I roll back. Then I'm going to pick a direction, and I'm going to rotate towards it. Here is what I want you to look at. Turn your head and look at the arm in front. Make sure it's in front of the shoulder. Here's what your body will try to do. it will lean out of the direction you're rotating in. So same cue you've heard before, armpit in line with hip, scoot back up. Going the other way. So we start with our half roll back. My arm that's in the front is reaching forward, my other arm's reaching back. I'm going to take a quick eye scan, come back up. Let these first few be nice and slow. Check the form. Tempo is a way to progress the work. When I know I've got it at a slow, controlled pace, then I can put tempo on it. As a challenge, then it's warranted. But tempo for the sake of tempo, there's no benefit to it if you're going fast and you're missing all the marks. So we're going to go one more in each direction. Exhale, inhale back up, and exhale, and inhale back up. Okay, quick review of side kick, and then we're going to be adding on to the side leg lift series. So we're laying down hip to shoulder in line. Again, I like to put this under my head. Legs forward 45 degrees. Top leg up, draw it nice and long so the waist is lifted, hip on hip, balance check with the arm, pulsing forward. 1, 2, reach back without compromising the spine. So nothing from my hips up is moving during this. The side lying position is extremely difficult to stabilize it. Your body will want to rotate, your spine will want to both flex and extend. That's why it comes later in your programming. One more of these. Okay, so now I'm going to back my legs up, back into line with me. Now the first two of these we learned previously. I'm going to take that top foot, make it as long as my bottom foot so that my waist is not sinking into the mat. Breathe in to lift, exhale to lower. Breathe in and flex. Keep the knee facing forward. The height of the leg is dictated by your ability to keep your waistline off the floor. Last one. Now leg circles, coming up, forward, down, back, and up. Remember, you can bend the bottom knee slightly to give you a little more base to support on, because I don't want you chopping off the back part of this circle. It's key that that leg go behind the hip as well. Pause, reverse. Back, down, forward, and up. Exhales through the bottom. Last 2 and 1. Now we're adding on. So both legs do need to be straight for this one. So here's what we're doing. This is called staggered legs. I'm going to inhale and lift the top leg. Now, as I exhale, I'm taking my bottom leg up to get the top leg, and then they come back down together. So I breathe in. I don't want to lift so high that I can't go meet that leg, and lower down. Now here's the key to this. When that second leg lifts up, what did your waistline do? It probably dropped into the mat. You have to keep it lifted. Why? Because that means your spine is staying in a nice long neutral line behind you and you're not in a side bend. It's also why I don't want you to lift this leg too high to begin with, or you can't get to it. One more. Now, the legs are going to stay together. You're going to breathe in, exhale, reach them away and lift them up. I'm going to lift this arm up just so you can see what I'm saying about this waist, is I don't want to sink. I want to stay lifted and down. Another way you can progress all of this is this hand that's on the floor, you could bring it off the mat, because this hand is doing some balance work as well. Let's just do 2 more, because we do have another leg, and 1 more. And down. And again, you can take that top leg forward, give it a quick little break. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come up, we're going to flip over to our other side. I'm going to move my microphone pack a little bit. So as you go down, once again, line up your hip and your shoulder with the back edge of your mat. And then take the legs forward 45 degrees, so from hip to shoulders in a straight line, and then the legs are a little forward, making sure you're not laying on a diagonal. The hips are back here with the shoulders. Top leg up, hip height, draw it nice and long, waist is lifted, and here we go. Inhale, 1, 2, reaching back. 1, 2, exhale, back. So the pulse is just
to the front. There's no pulse to the back. Keep in mind you want to progress the pulse. So I want to go further on my second one. So try not to go for maximum range. And notice there's an energy to this. It's not just bouncy. Now, take the bottom leg, back it up. You can take an eye gaze check. You want to be in a long straight line. Make that top leg as long as the bottom leg. Here we go. Top leg abduction up with the pointed toe. Flex to lower. Your breath in takes you up. Your exhale brings you down. Inhale. Exhale. So just to review. And 2. And 1. Okay, now circles. Once again, I'm going to give myself just a little bend here. Forward, down, back, and up. Exhale through the bottom. I'm going to slow myself down just a little. My tempo is a little bit too much for me to be stable with. Reverse. So you can do that as well. I'd rather you do 2 really, really good clean ones than 8 fast ones that had no integrity to them. Couple more if you're at my pace. And now going into staggered legs. So both legs once again are long. Okay, I'm going to inhale to lift, exhale, meet, and together. Inhale, exhale, go get that leg, bring it down. So watch where the waist wants to go there. I have a little more difficulty on this side, not sinking. One more. Now what we're going to do is hold at the bottom. Inhale, use the exhale to lift both legs and lower. Three to go. Checking in with your waistline. Remember that top arm can come up. And now let that top leg come forward. Give it a quick little recovery. Okay, so we are going to do another new one here, but this one is actually quite nice. This is called spine stretch forward. I'm going to turn to the side so that you can see what I'm doing here. My legs are out, kind of like I had them for saw, so they're just a little bit wide. I can also have a bend in them. You can do this up against a wall, which is a nice bit of feedback, but imagine I did have a wall behind me, and I'm going to take a breath in. I'm going to lift my head off my spine and nod down. So I am looking for a stretch in the back of the neck without dropping my chin to my chest. Now I'm going to actively fold the rest of my spine. My arms are just going to trace. I don't want to come off my sit bones. Stay here with the breath in. Exhale, sequentially come back up in reverse. So the head's the last thing to lift. This is where a wall is quite nice because we really all kind of have a tendency to leave our head out in front of us. Lift the head and fold. Take your time through the thoracic. It's not one chunk. Breath in, because it's really easy to feel that expansion of the lungs and the rib cage when you expose the back side. And again, I'm just going to do one more of these. Exhale. I'd say this would be a great thing to do if you are at home working right now and find yourself in front of a computer a lot. Once an hour, just get up, find a wall, and go into that. Okay, so from there, we are going to add on to our teaser. We're going to go into a teaser prep that is done from the floor. Now, here's what I will say about this. If the roll-up that we did earlier was a little too much, rolling through the low back, then continue with the prep that we did at the level 1, where you had the arms up and you were adding the leg, because this one is going to require that you roll through the low back. There's some slightly different choreography at the top, but from here up is a lot like the roll up. Well, actually it is the roll up. So I have my legs together. I want that because my inner thigh contraction is going to help me facilitate stabilizing my low back. But also notice I don't have my legs too close to me or I will get stuck at the hip joint. I'm going to use 4 breaths to do this. We breathe in. We exhale. So right here, I have to go through that imprint again, right? Just like the roll-up. But notice, this is as far as I'm going, because what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to stay back of my sit bones. This you know. I'm going to lift my chest and bring my arms with it, if I can. My arms could have stayed here. Now, on the way down, here's another difference. How long can I leave my arms coming with me? That's about it for me. I'm going to have to take them back out in front because that got quite heavy. So we breathe in. Big exhale through the low back. You can scoop up with the arms, stop just shy of the sit bones. I'm still in a spinal curve. Now I'm going to lengthen my upper back without sitting higher on the sit bones. I'm going to exhale, squeeze the thighs together. How long can I leave my arms up? I did a little better that time. I'm only going to ask for 2 more of these. Inhale. That right there comes from the erector spinae. Those are your spinal extensor muscles that did that work. Curl away, curl away, curl away, and all the way back down. Okay, this is going to be our last one. Inhale as you reach. Exhale to roll through. Inhale to lift the chest. And then we exhale to roll all the way back and down. Okay, whew. No more of that. Let's flip over. Real quick review of single leg extension and swan dive, and then we're going to add swimming today. So for single leg extension, you are again laying on the backs of your hands. Again, aware that I will modify that for microphone purposes. Legs are hip distance apart, neutral spine. As you exhale, contract one glute. Then make that leg so long that it lifts and lower it down. Contract a glute, make the leg long to lift. There's nowhere you're trying to go. If when you lift that leg, your low back sinks towards the floor, you need to either do more abdominal support or keep it smaller. This is a prep exercise for some stuff that we will be later adding to the swan dive. So here's one at the intermediate and the advanced level. And here's 2. Okay, a couple of swans, normal swans. I'm not adding on to these yet. Well, what I may do is give you a 2-breath option instead of just the 4. So now my legs are shoulder width apart. I'm going to inhale, fine breaststroke prep 1. This is where I tell you, elbows push the floor away, abdominals start to lift. As you start to push into your hands, tuck your tailbone, tuck your tailbone, tuck your tailbone. Pubic bones down, hip bones are up. Breathe in at the top. Exhale, draw long to come back down. Breathe in, breaststroke prep 1. Press through the forearms, tuck the tailbone, lift the abdominals. Inhale here, exhale down. Now the only progression we could make at this point to this would be to inhale all the way up, exhale all the way down. However, if you feel like, no, I still need those extra breaths, I want that exhale to support me through my low back, and I also need that transition moment, then don't rush through it. But otherwise, you would exhale to prepare here. Breathe in. You're still hitting all those checkpoints on the way up, and you're exhaling down. And once more, inhale. And exhale. Okay, so swimming. Bring your legs back in where you had them for single leg extension. Take your arms and reach them out. So you kind of have a small X shape to your body from opposite hand to opposite leg. The head, again, can be in the hover, or you can rest it on your head prop. What we're going to do is we're going to lift opposite arm and opposite leg together on an exhale. So if you want to watch, you can. I'm going to breathe in to prepare. I'm thinking of my opposite arm and opposite leg getting long to lift. Now I'm bringing my upper body up with this because that feels better for my shoulder. You don't have to. Other side. I'm sliding my arm out. I'm not thinking up. I'm thinking long. And long results in a lift. So if you'll see, I lengthen. You may notice a difference in your two sides. Anytime that happens, I want you to err towards the side that feels more restricted. Balance towards that so that you move forward equally. Otherwise, you just keep training your imbalance to remain imbalanced. Let's do one more each way. And then last one. And then we're going to come down. I'm going to have you push back. Take another shell stretch for me. And we're going to go back to our leg pull front prep, adding a slight variation to that as well. So, knees together. We're on all fours. Toes are turned under. And remember, I'm just a little forward with my fingers. I'm not quite at 90 degrees. I'm pushing into my fingertips. I'm sending the mat forward. I'm going to take a breath in. As I exhale, hover. Inhale, stay. Exhale down. This one we know. We're going to do that one more time. Breathe in. Exhale. Stay. And down. Now we're going to add at the top a weight transfer, a little like what we did with shoulder bridge. If you want to watch first, you can. We're going to breathe in. I do that same hover. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my legs and lift it slightly. Now what I want you to notice that I did there is I did a little hip swing. I didn't do this. That's not what I'm doing. I'm doing a little arc of the leg and then putting it back down. Other leg, little arc of the leg, putting it back down, and then back down to the knees. For some people, this is absolutely inappropriate on their knee. They cannot take that much weight with the weight transfer. So please do not do this if that is the case for you. Take a breath in. Exhale, hover. Breathe in. Exhale, take one leg up. Inhale, bring it down. Other leg up. Now I could keep alternating, but while we're learning it, I'm going to push us back down to the floor. Breathe in. Exhale, come up. This time I want to lead with the other leg. Stay for an inhale. Exhale, leg lifts. Inhale down. Exhale, leg lifts. Inhale down. Exhale to lower. Take a quick shift back. And then the last new thing we are going to learn today is a side bend prep. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to turn to face you. We're going to stack our knees together. And we're going to take the hand on the floor a little in front of the hip because I want it in line with the knee. Okay, we may have to adjust this position a little bit. We'll do a quick little test first. Again, if you want to watch, you can. So I'm going to breathe in here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my glutes to push my hips forward. I want to see how I feel about where I am on my shoulder. But here's what's going to happen is after I get to this position, I'm actually going to arc over. I'm going to unwind that the way I came in, and then I'm sitting back. So my hips went forward, then my side bend happened. Come out of the side bend, hips come back. Take a breath in. Exhale. I know it's going to flow, but know where you're going. So get those hips in line with the knee before you start to send the spine into lateral flexion. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Now if that's a little fast, you could stay here for an inhale. Come back with an exhale. Stay with an inhale. Exhale. I'm pushing the floor away. And then coming back. And let's do the other side. If you have wrist issues, more often than not, unless you have a diagnosis of carpal tunnel, wrist fatigue is usually something coming from lack of shoulder stability. Barring being able to lay my hands on you to correct that, a quick fix for you if that is occurring is take your mat and fold it up
and set your palm on top so that your wrist angle is a little bit less than 90 degrees. So you could do all of this right here, and I'll just go ahead and leave it there for now. Breathing in, so once again, I'm sending my hips forward, pushing the floor away, and then unwinding back. Inhale, prepare. Exhale. Breathe in. Exhale back. 2 more times. Inhale, stay. Exhale to retreat. Last time, inhale, prepare. Exhale. Breathe in. And back. Okay, so now we're going to finish with the push-up. Again, if that wrist issue is there for you, you can do your push-up with your mat folded up in that same way. I do have wedge props. They do make a yoga wedge for the foot and the ankle that you can also use, but again, just for your simple home purposes, I would just go ahead and fold up your mat, or a towel, something that you can just get the base of the palm a little higher than the finger angle. Okay, so push up, we have learned, okay, so we have our toes relaxed, our knees down. What we're going to do today is I'm going to give you a couple of different hand positions to try as well, but let's start with what we know. I'm pushing the floor away from me as I lower down for 1, 2, 3, exhale to press back up. As I'm lowering, I'm thinking of the backs of my ears reaching to the ceiling, and I am definitely telling my belly button, my abdominal wall, to pull up because it will want to sink here. So now, what I'm going to have you do is 2 different hand positions. One of them is making a diamond or a triangle like so, and that's going to be right underneath the face. When you go down, the elbows will go out like so, and then when you push back up, the elbow pulls in. What this does is it not only focuses tricep, but it's going to recruit some pec muscle. And then the other one we're going to do is going to be with the hands here, and the elbows are going to hug the ribs as you lower down. So we're going to try a couple of those. Everything else with the body is the same. All right, lowering for 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Press up. I'm going to make a slight adjustment with my arms. Down, 2, 3. Exhale. Down, 2, 3. Now, let's try hands about where you had them before for the first one, maybe just a little closer, but now the elbows are going to hug the rib cage. You may not go as low on this. The temptation on this one is to shear the neck down towards the floor. So I only want you to go down as far as you know you've kept your head supported in line with your spine. Last time, and the elbows are hugging your rib cage. And press back. And let's send that all the way back. Find a recovery position for yourself. And then roll that back up. Okay, so we have made it to the end of our Essential Pilates Mat Level 2 with detailed instruction. So for this particular video, there was definitely some new information in there from what you had done previously. If you felt like this was moving just a little bit too quick for you, you may not be quite ready for this progression. So you could go back to the Level 1 with detail or the Level 1 with flow. Do this video until you feel proficient with it and you feel like, okay, I could do this without all the breaks and all the stops, because the flow-based one, again, will be primarily just going through choreography with a few form reminders, but that one's intention is to be for those of you that feel proficient with the work. Okay, so if you have any questions for me, feel free to send me an email at bodypotentialtraining@gmail.com. Thank you so much.